Wife left me for weeks and confessed to cheating on me for 4 years out of boredom. Now she wants to come back. I'm feeling really lost right now and could use some insight. My wife, 39F, and I, 40M, have been married for 17 years, and we've been together since high school, 23 years total. We have 3 daughters, aged 15, 13, and 1. 3 days ago, my wife came home from work and was clearly upset. She hastily packed an overnight bag and left, crying and distraught. Our oldest daughter was there and tried to talk to her, but she didn't say much and seemed almost panicked. I haven't heard from my wife since. I've tried reaching out through texts and calls, but she isn't responding. I contacted her parents, and they told me she's safe with them, asking me to be patient and understanding, but that's all I know. I reached out to her sister and brother, but they didn't have any information. Her work friend mentioned that she saw her in the morning, but then she disappeared by lunchtime. It's been 3 days, and I'm here with our girls trying to explain where their mom is, but all I can say is that she's with her grandparents and we need to be patient. The kids think something terrible happened between us, like a huge fight or divorce. But that's not true at all. We rarely fight. I'm overwhelmed with the urge to just drive over to her parents' place. It's only 3 hours away, but I'm stuck in this limbo. My mind is racing. If something serious happened, wouldn't I be the first person she confided in? I can't help but wonder if she's dealing with some past trauma. This whole situation doesn't make sense, and I'm left managing everything alone while worrying and feeling scared and angry. I'm looking for any clarity on why someone would just ghost their family like this. Asterisk, asterisk. Update. Asterisk, asterisk. I'm still new to Reddit, so I apologize for my inexperience. Last night was tough and I didn't sleep much. I read through responses and learned that my wife has been having an affair for at least 2 years. Her affair partner had a heart attack and died recently, which seems to have triggered this entire situation. My mother-in-law, and possibly my sister-in-law, knew about it and have been covering for her. I still haven't had contact with my wife, not even for the kids' sake, and I'm struggling to keep this from them. I'm overwhelmed with what to do next. If you pray, I could really use some support right now. Asterisk, asterisk. Update 2. Asterisk, asterisk. I joined a few subreddits to seek advice and have been reading posts mostly at night when I can find some quiet. Each day feels like a new crisis, and I'm experiencing intense emotions, depression, anger, and confusion. My wife was my best friend. We shared everything, and now it feels like all that's gone. I'm trying to focus on our daughters, but it's hard when I'm feeling so lost. How did you all cope after finding out about an affair? I want to prioritize my sleep, but it's been incredibly difficult. Any advice would be appreciated. Asterisk, asterisk. Update 3. Asterisk, asterisk. It's been over a week since I found out about my wife's affair, which I now believe lasted over 4 years. My in-laws visited recently to see the kids, and during that time they tried to persuade me to consider forgiving my wife. She wants to come home but is scared of facing the consequences of her actions. The conversation was civil, but it was clear her parents want her out of their house. I'm still trying to navigate this new reality and figure out the best way forward for myself and the kids. I'm struggling to find the right words to express everything that's been going on. I lied when I said I wasn't sure about my future plans. I fully intend to get a divorce. But if I reveal that to my wife, I fear I won't get any honest answers from her. After 17 years of marriage, 3 kids, and countless memories together, I want her to sit down with me and explain everything. I want her to look me in the eyes and tell me the truth about her affair, from start to finish, and answer all my questions without hesitation. I think it's important for my kids to see that I gave her a chance to explain herself and handle this like adults. I keep trying to choose the path that sets a good example for my daughters. Legally, I can't stop her from coming home. My lawyer made that clear. So, if she's going to return, I wanted to set a condition. She could come back if she sat down with me in person, told me everything about her affair, and apologized to the kids as well. It felt like a fair demand, especially since they already know something's wrong. My girls and I have settled into a nice routine while she's been away, and I want to maintain that for as long as possible. There's a mandatory 90-day waiting period for divorce in our state, so her coming home is inevitable. I just want to delay it a bit so I can mentally prepare and work on my emotional health. My wife has been texting the girls, claiming she doesn't want a divorce and apologizing. They've shown me the texts and ask about me regularly. The reality of her actions seems to be hitting her hard lately. This weekend was tough. My wife came home yesterday and the atmosphere was awkward from the start. In the past, I would greet her with a hug, but this time I turned away when she tried to reach out. I asked her to explain everything, but she said she wasn't ready. I'd set my condition clearly. She needed to love our family enough to talk about why she'd been absent. When she couldn't do that, I blurted out what I knew about her affair, and she seemed taken aback. There was this heavy silence as we stood in the kitchen, both unsure of what to say next. I had prepared for many possible reactions, but not this one. I laid out everything I knew, even my assumptions, but she just stood there, looking at the floor. When I asked if she ever loved me and if her affair was worth it, she still didn't respond. It was incredibly painful. To make matters worse, our daughters overheard everything. Our oldest stormed downstairs expressing her anger, and my wife ran upstairs and locked herself in the bedroom. The tension in the house is unbearable. I heard my wife crying last night and the kids have been avoiding her since. I feel like I misjudged my wife and our relationship. I thought she would show remorse, but she hasn't. I'm now considering suggesting she stay with her sister until we finalize the divorce, though I know it's still her home too. Today was just as uncomfortable. The girls and I tried to carry on as we had, but it's impossible with this looming tension. I want to fast forward past all of this, the divorce, the awkward conversations, the inevitable conflicts. For those who have been through similar situations, how did you manage cohabitating with a spouse who cheated, especially with kids involved? I keep hearing it gets better, but right now, it feels so far away. I'm overwhelmed and just want to scream. I'm finding it incredibly tough to keep my mind stable, especially for the girls. Honestly, I'm not sure how I'm going to manage for the next 3 months with school starting soon. This feels like my new reality, and I truly appreciate all the support you've shown me. I don't know if the worst is behind us or still to come, but I'm grateful for any help as I navigate this next phase. Since my wife came back and I found out about her affair, I've been struggling. I try to keep it together for our daughters, saying the right things and maintaining a positive front. But tonight was different. Many of you talk about how emotions hit in waves, and I just got slammed with a big one. I lost my composure. The divorce is filed, but my wife hasn't hired a lawyer yet. I'm trying to remain patient, hoping for an uncontested divorce that we can manage ourselves. However, living together has been challenging. During the week, she stays at our family home and then goes to her sister's on weekends. It's mostly been a routine of avoidance, where we interact casually while trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy for the kids. My oldest isn't speaking to her after some big arguments, which I think is for the best right now. I've been reflecting on the advice many of you have shared and working hard on self-discipline when it comes to my interactions with my wife. I've been polite but distant, yet tonight, everything boiled over. After coming home from work, she caught me in the kitchen and asked if this was how I intended to treat her, just because she wasn't ready to talk about her affair. This was the first time she had even acknowledged it since everything blew up nearly a month ago. I tried to walk away, but with our daughters out of the house, I couldn't hold back anymore. I unleashed all my pain and frustration on her, everything I'd been bottling up. I lost track of time, raised my voice, and let it all out. I even cried, feeling furious at myself afterward for letting her get to me. I had been doing so well, but she got through my defenses. To my surprise, she started crying too. There was a part of me that felt a strange satisfaction seeing her in pain, feeling like she finally understood some of what I was going through. She kept mumbling apologies while I vented. Eventually, I left the kitchen, needing space. She lingered a bit before heading to her sister's house, and when the girls came home, they sensed something was off. I didn't want to talk about it with them. My focus is on their well-being, especially since the younger two seem to be doing better. I hate all of this. I should have kept my cool and walked past her without engaging. Now, reflecting on it, I wonder if she was just trying to start a conversation about her affair but didn't know how to approach it. I genuinely worry about her well-being. I know she deserves the consequences of her actions, but she's still the mother of my kids. I'm really disappointed in myself for how I handled things. I called my brother afterward to vent, and while it felt good to express my feelings, now I'm left with regret. Should I text her to clear the air? Or is it better to let it be? I'm just a mess right now, and I appreciate everyone's support during this incredibly difficult time. We've started therapy, which is something, but it's all so hard. Update. I wanted to share that I appreciate the concern from everyone. This week has been really tough. My wife hasn't left me alone and has been overly nice and continually apologizing. It's been emotionally draining. Last night, after the kids went to bed, she asked to talk privately. We ended up in my car to avoid another confrontation in front of them, and we talked for almost 3 hours. Listening to her sob again brought up a whirlwind of emotions for me. Anger, sadness, frustration. It was overwhelming, and I've been up all night processing everything. I had to step away for a bit just to escape the intensity of it all. It's hard being around her right now, especially with her wanting another chance. This situation is so painful, especially knowing the affair was with someone she'd known for years, someone who had helped her in her career. Deciding to change jobs wasn't initially tied to her affair, but once she made that switch, things took a turn. After starting her new job, her affair partner, AP, began flirting with her. What started as texting quickly escalated to sharing pictures and more frequent messages, eventually becoming physical. Just before everything hit the fan, she confessed to her sister and almost came clean to me but decided to bury it instead. She claimed she went no contact with her AP after that, but as soon as lockdowns lifted, he reached out again. They resumed their conversations, and before long, the physical side of the affair reignited. She said she tried to end it a couple of times because of guilt but kept going back, so it never really concluded. What shocked me was how detailed her confession was. She even had a 5-page packet with a timeline of her affair. As she read it, answering my questions along the way, I realized she had lied about so much. Weekend trips with friends, work travel, traffic jams, family issues, shopping trips, you name it. All those lies were just covers to be with him. Hearing it all made me feel worse. I had trusted her completely. Throughout this, her affection for me never really changed. Unlike what I'd read about others in similar situations, she didn't pull away emotionally. However, she admitted to falling in love with her AP and fantasizing about escaping her family responsibilities. She was captivated by the thrill of being with him and found her daily life boring by comparison. When she opened up, she was very emotional and seemingly honest. I lost it and cried. It was just too much to handle. After she finished confessing, she told me how much she loved me and wanted to save our marriage. Many people had predicted this reaction, but it felt disingenuous to me, like she was reciting lines. After being together for over half my life, I could tell when she was being sincere and when she wasn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it felt. I tried to keep my composure, but couldn't help getting angry and saying some hurtful things. I even mentioned how her AP was seeing multiple women, making it clear she was just one of many. That really upset her. I had thought about all the clever comebacks I'd used during her confession, but in the moment, all I could focus on was one critical question. If her AP were still around, who would she choose? Him or me? She hesitated and mumbled that it wasn't fair. When I pressed her, she finally said she'd choose me, but that hesitation was everything. That's why I decided to divorce her. She started sobbing, and we sat in silence for a while. I told her we owed it to our kids to remain civil and present in their lives, despite everything. I hoped that after all this pain, she'd be fair during the divorce, proving she still cared about me. I leaned over, kissed her forehead, and told her I would have loved her forever before getting out of the car and heading to bed. Of course, I didn't sleep that night, and now here I am, struggling to sleep again. I haven't talked to my lawyer yet, but I'm relieved that her chance to contest the divorce has passed. Still, I find myself sinking back into sadness and anger. It's tough to process everything she shared. Part of me wonders if she could have made it all up, but it felt too consistent with what I'd pieced together over the last month. This whole situation feels never-ending. Some days I find strength, but then I'm hit with another wave of pain. It's strange. It feels like it's been months, yet it's only been days. I keep going back to the thought of the love of my life, the woman I've always cared for, admitting she cheated on me for over 4 years, simply because she was bored. I'm not sure if that makes it worse or better. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. It's been a rough couple of nights.